So yesterday I came out here and I planted 4 of these beds. I planted a whole bunch of onions and I also planted the fava beans over there. In this bed right here I have the red long of tropea onions, and right over here I have some Walla Walla onions. I also have another variety. It's the Utah sweet Spanish onions. Do I have anything else in here? I don't think so. I think that's all I have. Yes. Yeah, so we have the majority of this bed right here is the Walla Walla onions, and we also have the Utah Spanish onions. I wanted to try the Walla Walla onions this year. This is my first time planting them. I usually plant the sweet Spanish onions and some red onions, but this year I'm venturing into the Walla Wallas. And over here it's mostly Utah sweet Spanish onions and some red onions over here. I have, what are these? The ruby red onion. I didn't have a lot of that. And red burgundy onion, I only had about 4 of them germinate. The majority of them did not germinate at all. And I think this is it for this bed, but most of it over here is just the Utah, the Utah sweet Spanish onions. That's what it is. And right over here, of course, we have the fava beans, and these beds are going to be mulched because all this dirt splashing up on the leaves is going to cause fungal diseases, so we gotta remedy that. It's also going to suppress the weeds and retain moisture, and same for the onions. We don't want any weed competitions when it comes to onions because they are heavy feeders. I already gave them tons of fertilizer. I will also be giving them some bone meal because it is high in nitrogen and they require a lot of nitrogen. And also I will re-amend the soil kind of midway throughout the season to give them another boost so that they could grow onions really big. Last year my onions were super gorgeous and they produced really big onions. And today we are going to be planting some roses because I finally got my David Austin roses. I've been waiting for this the whole winter. And let's go over there and show you what we have. First, the buds on the pear tree are starting to open and it looks so gorgeous right now. Minus that stuff over there. I will be cleaning this very soon, hopefully. So right here I have 5 of the Gertrude Jekyll or Jekyll, however way you want to pronounce it. These grow about 5 feet tall and 3.5 feet wide, and they are hardy to zone 5. They have a beautiful scent to them. They have the old times rose scent, and they have glorious blooms that they will get really full, and they can actually grow up to 8 feet tall if you let them. And of course I will be cutting them back. I don't want them to do that because we are going to be putting them right here in this bed behind me. And you want to space them, you want to give them good space between each other. I'm going to space them to the recommended spacing, which is 3.5 feet between each other. Okay. If you space them too close together, you might risk having some fungal diseases. So with roses, if you live in a humid environment, you want to make sure to give them ample space so that they're less likely to have it. If you purchase your roses directly from the David Austin website, they're going to send a little pamphlet with the roses to kind of give you directions on how to plant them and how to care for them. So these are bare roots, so I have been soaking them in water in this bucket for about 18 to 24 hours. And you want to soak them for at least 2 hours when you receive your bare roots before you plant them, and the quicker you do that the better because you don't want them to dry out. And these have already started putting on some growth, and I want to make sure to put them in the ground as soon as possible. So I spaced them about 5 feet apart from each other, and I only have 4 in this bed over here. And I also spaced that first one about 7 feet apart from the nectarine tree because I wanted to be able to have space whenever we want to harvest it so that we don't get caught by the rose. When you are planting bare root roses, you want the hole that you dig to be big enough for the roots to sprawl around, where you can basically open them and they could sit perfectly in the hole while they're open. You also want to have the hole deep enough because you want to bury the graft where the rose was grafted. The Gertrude Jekyll is a grafted rose, and we want to make sure to bury the graft because if we do get a super cold weather that can possibly kill the graft, that will protect it by being buried underground. So I will be burying it at about maybe 2 inches above the graft level. So you have here, oh, let me bring it close to you. You have here this part, and then the roses are grafted onto the crown at this level over here. So you will bury all this and about 2 inches above the graft right here. So all this is going to sit below the soil. And before I do that, I'm going to add some holly tone. I use holly tone and rose tone for my roses, and I like to use holly tone because it has an acidifier in it. So because our soil is neutral, this will sort of solve the problem for any roses that like it to be a little slightly more acidic. Okay, and I'm also going to scratch it into the soil because we don't want the roots to directly touch it. And it has been raining for most of the day over here, so the soil is pretty moist, and the mayflies are starting to come over here and they keep flying into my eyes. Okay, oh, I'm gonna grab my rose, and I want to make sure it's going to be buried pretty deeply in here. Now the mulch is also going to come and cover it a little more, but that's totally fine. Also, the soil beneath it is pretty loose. On the pamphlet from David Austin roses, they suggested to kind of loosen the soil beneath it by using a fork, but I've dug deep enough where I don't have to do that. And I think you want to kind of spread the roots out. You don't want them to be climbing on top of each other, but you do want to make sure they are sitting in the hole. All right, then I'm going to grab my soil over here and just start covering it. Whoops. And I'm not going to use any of this soil over here because it's full of the grass roots that I pulled up from here. I did use the sheet mulching method, but even with that, because we have Bermuda grass over here, it's still alive and some of it is still coming up, so I do have to cover that. I have one right next to me that's poking out. So I have a bag of soil here with me. I'm going to cover the rest with that. Now, not all the holes are going to be this wide, but this was a pretty big rose. So you can see here I have maybe about 2 inches covered, and then we're going to have the mulch also that's going to cover it. And then once it's fully planted, you can water it. And you want to make sure to water it pretty well. Now the soil over here is moist, but this still is going to benefit from watering it. Once I'm done planting all of them, then I will water them. So now I have five more roses to plant, 4 over here and 1 in a different bed. So they are all planted in here. I planted 4 in this bed, and you can barely see them right now. They're right there. It's hard to see them, and I planted them 5 feet apart. I originally wanted to plant them 3.5 feet apart, but I'm thinking that's probably better for the health of the plants in general. And I was thinking of planting delphinium in front of them, but I think this is going to allow me to plant delphinium in between them, and I think that will look very beautiful. Also, look at all the grass that I pulled out from this bed, and because of the Bermuda grass, this stuff was still coming out from under the mulch. I mean, it's crazy. Look at this one right here. See, I have to lay down some more cardboard in this area just to make sure that the Bermuda grass is not going to come up. So what I'll do is anywhere that I see anything popping up from the mulch, I'm going to move the mulch, put down some more cardboard, and then cover it again, and hopefully that will just take care of all this stuff that are growing through the mulch. Okay, so right now we have 1 more rose, and we're gonna plant it in a different bed. Let me take you over there. So we are in the shade north, in a north bed, I'm gonna call it. This is the north bed, or the spruce tree bed, blue spruce right here. And right over here we have the oak leaf hydrangea, the blue spruce, not blue spruce, sorry, the skyrocket juniper. And I decided to see where that bucket over there, this is where we are going to be planting the rose. And the reason is I thought it would be really nice to have that pop of color, the same rose in here reflecting or mirroring, I should say, the roses on that side of the bed over there. So we're gonna have the Gertrude Jekylls on that side, Jekyll's on that side over there, and then this rose over here will be mirroring it. Let me see if I can give you a wider angle. Maybe we can see both beds together. So here we are. You see that bed right there, this bed over here. You kind of see what I'm going for. And roses can handle some shade. They prefer to be in full sun, but this bed over here is going to get some sun in the morning and a little bit in the afternoon as well. But late afternoon, that's when it will be shaded, which is perfect for that oak leaf hydrangea because it doesn't like to be in direct sun. It likes some sun, but it doesn't want to be in full sun because it wilts and it will require tons of water. So this is why I transplanted it into this area. And hopefully I won't face any fungal diseases with the rose over here. Whenever I have my roses in a shady area, they tend to suffer from a little bit of fungal diseases, and that has always been a battle for me, and that's because we live in a very humid environment, and it rained yesterday, it rained today, and as you can see, it's an overcast day. So this doesn't really allow things to dry out, and things tend to hold on to moisture for a lot longer, and this is what I feel like I have something in my shirt. Okay, and this is why a lot of these things tend to suffer diseases over here in our environment. So I'll just keep monitoring it. I'll also be applying some fungicide on it, and some horticultural oil just to make sure that it's going to be okay. The other roses over there, they're going to be in full sun, and also I will be applying some horticultural oil on them. The suggested way to apply horticultural oil on roses, according to David Austin, is to apply it after they leaf out. But I think that if you apply it during a super sunny day, I'm a little concerned that that might burn the leaves. I will look into it and see, because I haven't really applied that horticultural oil during the season where the roses are leafed out, and maybe this is why my roses haven't always been the healthiest. But this year I'm going to try it out and see. When I do spray my trees and my roses, again, like I said, normally it's during the dormant season. So we'll see. We'll try it out and I'll let you know how things turn out, and hopefully I won't burn my roses. But I would suggest, I would assume that maybe spraying it on an overcast day where it's not going to be raining, that would probably protect the roses and not allow the leaves to burn, because the sun sort of acts like a magnifier when you have oil on the plants, and like that's why you don't want to spray something like neem oil during a super sunny day on your plants, for the same reason. So again, anyways, all right, so let's go ahead and get that rose planted, and then I have one more thing I want to do. So I want to show you what I deal with every time I plant in this area where this tree is, right here. There you go. You can see this giant root right there. And what I do is I just dig around it. I leave it intact. I don't cut the root because I don't want to harm the tree. And I dig all the soil from around it. And we are just going to pop this, or plop this rose right here. And it will be totally fine. These roots may grow bigger, but also the rose will kind of intertwine its roots around this area, under the roots and over the roots and all that stuff. So it'll be totally fine. I have been doing this for a long time and it has always worked for me. And there it is. You can't really see anything right now except for the place where I dug and a few stems sticking out from here. But hopefully this summer it will put on some growth and some blooms. Now you see that blue flower right there. This is Delphinium. It is the Guardian Blue, Guardian Lavender Delphinium, and it grows about 36 inches tall and 12 inches wide. So we're going to take this and we're going to plant it in front of the roses. I was hoping it would be wider than this, but then I looked it up, and I mean taller and wider. But when I looked it up, it only grows to 36 inches tall. Look at these blooms. They are so beautiful. And I think, once this is, of course, started from seed, so once they put on some growth next year and the year after, then they will grow to their full potential. This year, we're only going to see a little bit of growth on them and some blooms, but that's totally fine. These are a perennial, and they want to be in full sun or part shade. And so planting them next to the roses is going to be perfect. I think the delphinium and the roses are going to look stunning together with the saturated pink of the roses and this gorgeous kind of pastel blue, or it's actually more like a lavender. I hope you guys are seeing the true color on camera. It's in between blue and lavender, sort of, or like a violet shade. And they're going to have really tall panicles of blooms, and they're going to grow about, whoop, let's fix the camera. They're going to grow about 3 feet tall, and the roses have the potential to grow up to 8 feet tall, but I'm not going to let them do that. And I think let's take a step back over here so you can see it from this angle. And I did dot them in between the roses. You can't really see them right now. So there's a rose right there, a rose right there, and I put 3 in between each rose. And the only one right there is a solo one on its own, is the one right after the roses. I had an extra one. I thought, let me just pop it in there. I think it will kind of complete this drift of delphiniums. And I will have to plant something in between the roses because they are too far apart from each other, I think. But I'm not sure what. I'll have to think about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in the next video. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications of whenever I upload new videos. Also, if you want to watch more gardening videos, there will be a video that will pop up somewhere either here or there, not sure.